Now, the Lagos State government on Sunday announced the suspension of the general manager of the Lagos State Infrastructure and Asset Management Agency, Adenike Adekombi. Now, the decision followed the recommendation by the panel earlier set up to investigate the circumstances that surrounded the death of Wire Diaso, a medical doctor. Now, Dr. Diaso was trapped in a faulty elevator that crashed at the doctor's staff quarters on August the 1st at the Lagos General Hospital, Odon. Now, LASIAMA is the agency that oversees the activities of the facility management company in charge of the staff quarters where Ms. Diaso died. Now, like we already told you earlier, that Mr. Charles Ideho and John Akirili will be staying back for us to continue the conversation on the second segment of the program on VOP this morning. Mr. Ideho, I will start with you. It was quite an unfortunate development when the story of Dr. Valerie came up, a very young doctor who had about 2 weeks to complete her housemanship. This particular elevator had been complained about by the management, and especially those who work in that hospital. They have complained to the management over time concerning the erratic, working structure of the elevator, but nothing was done. Would you say that this is just one of those offshot developmental scenarios, or would we say it's a pattern with government-owned facilities where they do not actually take care of anything that has to do with helping work progress smoothly in any of the establishments operated by government officials?
Well, I think it is a pattern because if you compare the private sector and the public sector, you see that the private sector appears to have moved on light years ahead of the public sector. Now, I interface a lot with the public sector based on what I do. I manage a radio station, and because of that, we have a lot to do with the public sector, particularly local governments and the state.
John, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, John. I think that. So okay, we're back. Continue.
Yeah, as I said, the attitude of the government officials is very bad. I give an example. There's a local government we were supposed to be having some partnership with. We went there, so we got in there. The office of the chairman had no light. So we were asking the chairman, why is there no light? He said, this is what I've found. This chairman it was recruited, in the manner of speaking, from the private sector. So he came in there, he had no light. Now, he said he submitted proposal of how he even brought experts to bring to come and wire that place and use the solar energy. He said the civil service in that local government fought against it. Why? Because they said, because if you do that, then you cut off the energies they have from generator. You cut them off from buying diesel. You cut them off from all these billings that the electricity company they bring over. So they make a lot of money from diesel purchase. They make a lot of money from even when they give them the overbilling. So when you know solar to their and solar, you have regular supply of light. Where would they make the money? So you have that over time is happening. I also give you an example. Maybe I'm going to have to mention a state. I don't know if they have fixed it now. There was a time in on Lagos Island when I think Martin Street, Anambra House had no lift. I remember going up 9th floor almost every day when I had, so they had no lift, 9 floors. How do you expect somebody walking that building to ever do well? Because before I got to the fifth floor, I'll be panting, I'll be gasping for breath. So you see, this maintenance culture, lack of it, is a problem, particularly in the public sector. If something grown to where they will make money, don't fix it. Look at the roads. When you have potholes, just small potholes, we can't make money from there. It's too small to fix, nothing. Because it is when it has become a ditch, because when they now, something that's supposed to cost about maybe 500,000, even when they put about 5 million, nobody will question, stability thing is very bad. So when it's fixed, people will be happy. But when it's just a minor pothole that you just fill, nobody will make money from it. So it's a systemic problem that has crept into the public sector and it's not about to go, because there are people who deliberately cause those problems to happen so that they can make money from it. For instance, this the LASIAMA. LASIAMA have been told over time that list was faulty. But what did they do? Let's manage it. We find a way to always manage it. Because when you use it, when somebody goes up and the list, nothing happens to it, say people use that, nothing happens. Let's just manage for a while. Shebi is still working. You still go up and still go down until it happens. Which of course we pray that it doesn't happen again. I don't think it's about to change. You fire this Adenika, you fire somebody that's going to be replacing her. We settle down for the very first with what they call initial gragra. Initial gragra, we settle in, and when he settles down, then we go back to how it has always been, and nothing.
Wow.
All right. Well, this just reminded me, you said something about Anambra House not having an elevator, and that just reminded me, I grew up in 1004 housing estate, and for the most part, the elevators there were not working, and that was 14 floors up, actually. Sometimes we had to carry water when there's scarcity of it all the way up.
No
it
was
look at you. it was not a palatable thing. Now, John, let me ask you this now, John. Now, would you place this the Vuare Diaso's case on the table of bureaucracy in the government sector? Can we blame this on the bureaucracy?
Thank you. I think for me it's a sober time, and my heart goes out to the family of the deceased, and my condolences as well. And I ask this: that what is the worth of a Nigerian to both our elected and appointed political office holders? What is the worth of a life? And that is to tell you that until we have a functional society we can call our own, we are just deceiving ourselves. What is even the response rate in case of emergency? We are not even looking at that. If this lady had been trapped and she cannot be rescued for 1 hour, my brother, please let me give you an instance. There was a time I was in a lift, and I think lights went off. I was just there, I was trapped for like 30 seconds, and in 30 seconds, I knew how I felt in 30 seconds until light was restored. Now, how much more somebody who must have fallen, must have been unconscious, must have had fractures and some sort, and even in that suffocation, she was there for an hour. That shows that our response rate, if that can happen in a facility or a medical facility, then what if it happens in an office? What becomes of everybody? So I think for us as a people, we should go back to the drawing board and look at how we don't cut corners when it comes to maintenance, how we don't overbloat our budget when it comes to giving out the real thing. Because if the worth of a life is very, very crucial to you as a maintenance manager, you will be at the top of your job. And there's no amount of money we spend that can bring back the lady that we lost. Not only that did we lose a life, we lost a generation. We lost a jewel, an esteemed jewel. Because I was thinking in my head what would have been our contribution to the medical sector of the country. But we lost that due to negligence. We lost that due to a failed system. We lost that due to some people's chop make I chop kind of attitude. And the question we should ask is, even those who bidded to be the facility managers, what is the criteria for selection of these so-called people? How do you get to get contract from the Lagos State government if you are not an APC member, if you are not a party kind of thing? And when something goes wrong, they cannot scold you, or they cannot even put you on your toes. Why? Because it's a party thing. Now, if you are running to be governor and I've spent over 200 million for your campaign as a governor, and you give me contract to supervise or to maintain a Butemeta General Hospital, and probably the light goes off for like 2 hours, and they complain to the governor, and they say, who is in charge? I say, it's John Akila is in charge. It's a party thing. They go, don't worry, we'll rescue it. But until we come to that point where we take our job seriously and we do things that we ought to do when money is expended, And also, there's a maintenance culture that should be inculcated into every Nigerian, not even in Lagos alone, every Nigerian. And you must know that any position, any bit that you are being played, do your best to make sure that you deliver on that which you are assigned to do. Then and then can we move on. For me, I think it's a very sad one. It's a very sad one, and I think we should learn from it. Now, let nobody spiritualize this thing and say it's an attack or an arrow was fired. No arrow was fired. What happened was that the system failed her. The system failed her, and that is exactly what happened. You get some other cultures of the world, and when something like this happens, there's a rapid response, and they don't pray. Okay?
John, I'm sorry. It's because of the statement you made where you said this is not a spiritual attack. But I think when she made that statement, she attributed it to the helicopter, the small plane crash that occurred in Lagos. So the incident happened the same day. So she probably meant that a spiritual arrow has been fired at Lagos State for both tragic incidents that have taken place.
No. I'm not even referring to the governor's work. What I'm saying is, most of the time, when we fail in our own duty, okay, we ascribe spirituality to it. And when you look at other countries of the world where things are working, and you check the level of their own religiosity, it's extremely low to that of ours. And then you ask yourself a question: how come this society is working less religious, less churches and mosques, even shrines, and then you come to your own where you have churches and mosques all over and rest of the whole country, and yet if the country is not still working, then something is wrong somewhere. And so we look at it that it's not about being religious, but it's about you doing that which you ought to do. It comes down to your morals, value system. It comes down to the kind of system we have built over time to make sure that only the right people get it. If you bid for a contract in Lagos, for instance, very sure, if you don't have political allies, you don't have political babasales, I'm sure you cannot get anything done in Lagos and in another part of the country. Now that and even at the state level, you have a governor. At the federal level, you have a president. So if you are not in that circle, I don't think you can get anything done. I'm very sure of that. And so we must get to a point where we give people projects based on capacity, based on KPIs. They are key performing indexes, and that this is what these guys can give us looking at this timeline. Until we get to that point, that we don't just give contracts to people because they are canvassers, because they work for ordinary election. Even if you want to reward them, you don't reward them with some sensitive positions. Rather, there are other agencies that, like those that are sweeping the streets, that are cleaning the streets. You can assign such role to them so that they can give to their own cronies, and then they can make sure that the environment is clean. Not some sensitive one that has to do with response about life, about healthcare, about education, about infrastructure. These are, you don't bring somebody who is not an engineer to come and build you a bridge, because you know that you are putting the lives of millions who are going to apply that bridge. So these are things that I think we should look at as a people, and we should correct that, not until people die before we can start, waking up to our responsibility. But as a people and as a government, let's wake up to our responsibility and do that which we ought to do to make the country work for everyone.
All right, Charles now. Charles, let's look at the response time. Now, this incident happened at about 6:50 p.m. That was when the elevator fell from the 10th floor all the way down. And she was taken out of the elevator at 7:50 p.m. 1 hour. 1 hour between when the elevator hit the ground and when they were able to open the doors. Now, investigations were, okay, because of the impact, the doors were jammed. Now, this happened in a hospital environment. One would expect that a response time might have been, quicker.
Immediate.
What do you make of that response time?
Well, the response time is not different from the response time in almost all the infrastructure we have across Nigeria. We were reviewed the other day. Somebody called in and shared his experience when he was was it Hong Kong, or I can't remember, one of those Asian countries, that they were stuck in the lift for just about, not up to 1 minute. He said immediately you saw that those maintenance staff, they rushed up and they were apologizing. They even came too late. Five minutes? No, I don't think it was up to 5 minutes at all. They said it was too late, that they were apologizing that they came too late, 5 minutes too late. Then here in Nigeria, 1 hour. first you will say, okay, the vehicle to go over there, there's no fuel. They have not allocated money to buy fuel for the vehicle. It has not been fine. Even how about the police? When you say you have SOS, you want to go over, the police tell you, oh, they bring money to buy fuel. When you get there, okay, where is Sergeant Soso thing? Sergeant Soso is the one holding the key to the vehicle. And then where Sergeant has gone on break. And you know what? How about the fire service? Oh, there's no water. But thankfully, Lagos State government has water hydrants almost everywhere in Lagos to also save them from that. So the late response is part of the rot in the system, that you give jobs to people who qualify. As Sakrile said earlier, if you don't worship in their shrine, you can't be qualified for anything. So they bring you there to represent the interests of someone. Oh, where are the boys? Don't go and bring them so that they can give them jobs. Oh, the government can just open an agency, and then you want to fill it up with people. Then you give the slots to party members, party chiefs. They bring in their place. Okay, they call it empowerment. So they empower these boys and girls. They go in there. You give them money every month. They press phone and everything. They don't know the job they were supposed to do.
Mr. Charles Daher, Mr. Charles.
Yeah.
Apparently, just like what my colleague said, beyond the fact that it took 1 hour for them to evacuate her, bring her out from that painful corner that she was, there was no blood in the hospital. The hospital where she's serving, there was no blood in the hospital to help with whatever they could to just make sure that she doesn't die. Also, the monitor that was meant to check her heart rate wasn't functioning as well. So things were being done manually. Now, remember that in the process, all that was going on, I don't know if they really took, would I say, digital footage of all of that transpired. But the Lagos State government has sacked and blacklisted, right, those who are responsible for taking care of that facility. What does sack and blacklisted mean? I mean, is that a proactiveness that we've been talking about all this while? Is that enough to really put a firm feet as to the management of that particular hospital, and not just that hospital, most of the public hospitals in Nigeria?
It is a requirement that most of the major hospitals will have blood banks. It's a requirement. All right, I'm not a medical doctor, but at least as a journalist, as I said,
All right, we seem to have a network glitch there.
Okay.
I'm supposed to understand that all major hospitals must have blood banks. All right?
Go ahead, please.
Am I back? I don't know what
Yes,
happened.
yes, you
Okay,
are.
yes,
you are. Go ahead.
Okay, am I still on?
Yes,
Yes.
you're still on. You can go
I
ahead.
got cut off. I don't know. Okay. Now, it's a requirement that the... Say again, am I still on?
Yes, you're
I
very
still
on. We can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Okay. I said it's a requirement that most major hospitals must have blood banks. But the question you also asked yourself, is there any blood what happened to the blood banks they have? Maybe people, again, most of the medical personnel, they have their own private hospitals. They must have, how are we sure that they didn't take this blood out of the system to go use in their private hospitals? And then who is doing the checking? So it's a systemic problem that has to be addressed. And if we don't address it, we may continue to have another diaso, but we pray not. Because even look at you said somebody had been fired, somebody had been blacklisted. Yeah, blacklisted from, maybe you withdraw the license. But the people you are going to be bringing to represent them, are they going to bring from the celestial bodies? No, we are also going to be choosing them from the system, from the terrestrial bodies, this terrestrial system that has been polluted. You look at this, the way people are trained, the lackadaisical manner that way people discharge their responsibility and all that. It's same thing. If you even come to our own profession in journalism, I was a reporter in the early 2000, late 1990 something and early 2000. You remember that if as at that time we were all required to do certain things, but today I don't know the level of their competencies. I mean, as I said, I manage a media house. Even though we are still training and retraining, no, they are not just responding. So it's a systemic problem. I don't know who's going to fix it, but we hope that it gets fixed, and then so that we can all leave the woods that we are in. It's not helping us at all.
No.
All right then. Well, the government in its investigation have said Thank you very much, Charles.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you,
government in
Charles.
its investigation have said the response did not get to the point where she needed blood. They have come to debunk that narrative of her needing blood. But apparently, bottom line was that CPR was administered, and a lot of things were not in place. So she died. But before she died, she was recorded to have been saying, "I don't want to die. I don't want to die." All right. But John, let me ask you this now. My colleague did say, some people have been blacklisted, some people have been sacked. My question is sacking the thing to do at this time? What would you say was the motive behind sacking? Is that punitive or what exactly? John?
I think for me, it's so sad. It's so sad looking at the note, hearing from you what the lady said, saying that she doesn't want to die, but she finally died. And the system killed her, if you ask me. But it's so sad. And that has been the attitudes of negligence all across board. Maybe I think you should even take a stroll to one of these local governments, and ask them probably in the one document or the other, and just look at the way they respond to you. It's not only in the health sector, public service generally. You have this worm. Maybe you take a stroll to Ikorodu General Hospital and look at the way they respond. They even react to you. Sure. And look at general hospitals across the length and breadth of the country. The other year I was in Abuja also, and then I was to have an X-ray, and they asked me that to get the result of my X-ray would take 2 weeks. And I asked myself, 2 weeks? So if somebody is in an emergency ward and there to get the X-ray, you say they come back in 2 weeks, then it shows that something is not working somewhere. And we must be, seen to look at what we need to do to make sure that things work properly. This country can work, and we can make it work. But when you say that you blacklist somebody or you sack somebody, that's the same thing you get in the Nigerian police force. They say the police officer have been apprehended. We have dismissed him. Dismissing him from service, does it correct that which has been committed? Yes, I know. So until actions and responses for consequences for actions, that people now know that you don't do such. Now, if for instance you said you don't need to blacklist them. Maybe you look at all that they have gathered all over the years, and the government, impounds on all of the properties and even their money as well. Or probably their 25 years of experience in service is squashed. And I think that would serve as a trigger to every other practitioner that they need to sit up right and sit up straight. In some countries of the world, you don't give a tip. If you give a tip, it's a problem. If you receive a tip, it's a problem. And so it trickles down even to the young ones that you don't take tip. And it's an offense. And so they do their work because they are being paid for the work. So if you are paying civil servant, you are paying the service. Not saying that for you to get this document, you need to send 50,000 naira. I had a case of one of my friends who is in Hungary and then the documents in Abuja. And you need to know the amount of money they requested from him for them to just stamp that document in Abuja. And so it's such a crazy society that I look at it and I ask myself this question: how did we get here? And it's so baffling and it's mind-boggling that I cry for my country most of the time. I cry for my country. And I think for other people, blacklisting and sacking them will not bring back this other person. And that will also checkmate the fact that people have this lackadaisical attitude, and that should be corrected. And how do we correct this thing? It flows from the head. When you are taking your bath, water starts from your head and it gets down to your feet. And I think our leaders must lead by example, inspirational leadership. When you are saying that your governor, is towing a particular line, there's none of your commissioners that will deviate from that line. There's none of your permanent secretaries that will deviate from that line, or head of service. There's none of your school principals that will deviate from that line. But in a case where even the head, even the leader themselves, they don't even have the moral, they say to them, to their subjects, that this is what they are doing. How does it work that way? So giving sacking or blacklisting does not mean, if you blacklist them today, they can go and register another company with CAC, and after with their Baba Sales, they can also get another contract from another angle of the same government. And you'll be shocked that this person that was blacklisted from giving contracts in a general hospital now is in LASMA, or is with LASAMA, or is with Waterways doing another contract. And so they have a way of in the back door to still give them another portfolio they can handle, which they think will not have more noise. So we should delve from that angle. But looking at the fact that as a people, we for the betterment of all.
All right, then. Thank you very much, John Akirile, social affairs commentator. And a big thanks to you as well, Charles Ideho, a journalist and also a public affairs commentator. We honestly appreciate your contributions.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
All right, so let's go to business now. In the world of business, Nigeria tops the list of countries with the highest rate of unemployment worldwide. Nigeria led with 33.3%, followed by another African country, South Africa, 32.9%, and Iran, 15.55%. According to the reports, the lowest rate of unemployment were in countries like Qatar, with 0.1%, Cambodia, 0.36%, and Niger, 0.5%. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the unemployment rate in Nigeria increased to 33.30% in the fourth quarter of 2022 from 27.10% in the second quarter of 2020. Meanwhile, in a more recent report, a multinational consulting firm, KPMG, stated that the Nigerian unemployment rate had increased to 37.7% in 2022 and would further rise to 40.6% due to the continuing inflow of job seekers into the job market. Another business story, Nigerian trade worth about $226.34 million is at risk of breaking down following a border closure between the two countries. The recent border closure by Nigeria with Niger following a military takeover that overthrew President Mohamed Bazoum's democratically elected administration is negatively affecting trade between both countries. The acting Comptroller General of Customs, Bashir Adini, recently announced that because of current conditions in Niger, the border had been blocked, with certain locations becoming off limits to travel. Now, he stated that the decision was taken by the Economic Community of West African Countries. In a recent letter to the Nigerian Senate, President Bola Tinubu stated that ECOWAS had come up with a communique against the coup in Niger. The border closure is said to impact the $226.34 million trade between Niger and Nigeria. And that's all the business stories we have. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get into entertainment. Stay with us.